famine. But I want to read you a couple of scriptures. This is a scripture that I read you at the beginning of my message. And Jesus said, you'll hear of wars and rumors of wars. Do not be alarmed. This must take place, but the end is not yet. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, and there will be famines. These are the beginning of birth pangs. Now, famines is a birth pang of the end times. In other words, it's something that as famine gets worse, it's like a woman giving birth to a child. It gets worse and worse and worse. And so we've seen famines around the world for the last 70 or years since Israel became a nation. Now you're seeing the contractions getting closer together and a lot harder, that the world is about to give birth, that Jesus is about to come. Here's Revelation 6. And I want to show. So famine is a birth pang on this side, but famine is a major feature of the tribulation on the other side. In other words, what we're seeing right now is setting up the world for the tribulation. This is Revelation 6. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, come. And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in his hands. And I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, a quarter of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. When he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, come. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider was named Death, and Hades followed him. And they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, with famine, with pestilence, and by wild beasts. So this is the Revelation 6. These are the sealed judgments which begin the tribulation. This is when the tribulation begins. So we have 2 horses here. We have the black horse and we have the pale horse. The black horse is released, and world food supply becomes so severe that it takes a denarius, which is a day's wage. It was what the average worker made in one day. Okay, it took a denarius to buy a quart of wheat or 3 quarts of barley. Now, the reason it says that is because barley is not as quality as wheat, and it takes 3 times more barley to make up what 1 part of wheat would do. So a whole day's wage to buy enough food to eat for you and your family if you're an average worker. Okay, that's the black horse. Bad news. It says don't harm the oil and the wine. A lot of people have different interpretations of that. My interpretation of that is just simply the luxury items are everywhere. I mean, people have been raptured, people have been dead. If you want oil, this is olive oil, by the way, not petroleum. If you need olive oil or wine, you can have all you want. If you want something to eat, to live on, there's not very much around. That's just my personal interpretation of it. Then the pale horse comes in, and 2 billion people die. There are about 8 billion people in the world right now. 2 billion people die, and many of them die by famine. And so famine is a birth pain, but famine is also a part of the judgment of the tribulation. What I believe we're seeing right now is the world situation exactly paralleling what the Scripture said would happen as a birth pain and as a judgment. Imagine when the rapture happens and 1 billion people leave, it even gets worse. Even though there are fewer people to feed, all the judgments begin to happen on the earth. And the food supply, people being killed, war, the rider on the red horse, by the way, peace is taken from the earth. You just think there's wars right now. You wail the tribulation, peace is taken from the earth. So I want to say all of this today to say we're living in very significant times. What does it mean? It means Jesus Christ is coming. Vladimir Putin is not in control. The Iranians are not in control. The United Nations is not in control. The United States is not in control. Jesus Christ is in control. What I've read you today was written 2,600 years ago by the prophet Ezekiel, and it's absolutely exactly what he said would happen in the last days. And so we're looking at a world where the birth pangs are announcing. Jesus said, when you see these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your head. Your redemption draws near. Hi, I'm Jimmy Evans, and the clip you're about to watch is a small portion from our weekly Tipping Point show. To get the full show and other end times content from great teachers like Greg Laurie, Dr. Mark Hitchcock, and myself, join us as a member on endtimes.com for $7 a month. Become a member at endtimes.com for articles, videos, full episodes, and more. This is Matthew 24. Of that day and hour, no one knows. Jesus is talking about his return. Not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. As the days of Noah were, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. As in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour which you do not expect. And so let me tell you what it would be really easy for me to do on this show that I will never do. And that is, I could scare a lot of people to death, and I could sell a lot of food right now, prepackaged food and things like that. And I know of end times teachers that do that, scare people to death, and they offer you all their survival gear. I totally believe what Jesus was saying right there in Matthew 24. He said it will be as in the days of Noah before the flood. We are not going to see the tribulation. As a believer, we need to be comforted. There are birth pains that are happening right now, and those birth pains are going to continue until Jesus comes. And I believe that Jesus is right at the door. I believe he can come in any minute. And so I believe that Jesus is coming. And so I'm saying, don't listen to all the doomsayers. Don't listen to all the people trying to make us believe that we need to be preppers. And by preppers, I mean that we need to buy all this stuff and get all this stuff ready. This is my number 3 point of preparation, and that is be wise and be prepared. Now, this is my personal opinion. I'm just about to give you. Karen and I have 2 to 3 months of food and things on hand. We bought some of this freeze-dried food that comes in the buckets and lasts for 25 years. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at different places. But we could probably live off of the food that we have for 2 to 3 months, something like that. Other things that we have saved up, and COVID was part of that, was the reason we saved it up. And I'm not saying that because of the tribulation or anything like that. I'm saying it because of natural disasters, power outages. The Russia is threatening,